Okay, well, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining. You all know each other, but we are recording this session as well. So I'm going to ask you guys to introduce each other and explain to people who might be listening in why we're here. So we're here because we were all in a room anyway, and we thought, hey, we're getting a lot of questions, and we always are talking about what value Somerford Associate adds. And right now we've got an ex-client of ours in the room. We have only ex because he's moved on into other roles. We have the solutions director. So that was Bill. We've got the solutions director, James, who talks to all of our clients across the board. And we've got Simon Brown, who's our partner channel manager in HashiCorp and has worked with us in Splunk as well.
Yep.
So we've got all three camps that we could talk about this. Let's talk about why Somerford adds value. Let's start, I think, generally people who listen to our podcasts and watch our VodCasts are clients. Mm-hmm. So let's talk to client, being Bill Balfour. Do you want to introduce yourself properly, Bill?
Yes, Anne, thanks. So I recently joined Summerford after 5 years as a head of security transformation at a well-known UK pensions firm. And I've been brought on board as a transformation strategy consultant. I'll put that in brackets. It's a very fluid role, but typically I've been brought on board to talk to customers at a senior level around cyber transformation, delivery of cyber products, road mapping, and integration. And also what's worked for me in the past after 30 years of being in the security space and what hasn't worked. I've predominantly been based on the customer side, facing off to suppliers. So this is new for me, jumping over the fence as such. So I do have an understanding, though, of the kind of the corporate ways of working, such as strategy creation, decision making, procurement, implementation, and processes.
Yeah, and because Somerford, basically, we're a value-added reseller of various pieces of software, but the value add is the most important bit. And that's the bit where we bring in all of our expertise from people like yourselves and from all of our other consultants as well to try and tailor the solutions to where the client is. And that's kind of when you worked with us before, isn't it? When you were in that insurance?
Yes. So it was a convoluted way initially how we were engaged with Summerford. So the previous company, they were a heavily outsourced organization. So all the vendors that they used, we can only touch them or get to them via that MSP. However, we made a decision more recently to move a lot of the products back in-house and the support and the services back in-house. And that's when, I then started to kind of touch have face-to-face meetings with Somerford.
Brilliant. So why did you choose Somerford rather than another reseller?
There were several reasons. One was we had Somerford in as a supplier via an MSP. We managed to move Somerford onto the preferred suppliers list, so that was kind of one aspect. Another aspect was that we wanted an organization or a vendor to actually provide an end-to-end service or cradle to grave. So we're talking someone that could come in, that could sell the software to us, that could implement the software, make it go live, and then give us that kind of ongoing support, because that's quite crucial, that ongoing support component, because when you have an intermediary like an MSP, you raise a ticket, it goes to them, and then whenever it gets picked up, it then goes on to like Somerford, for example. So it was actually better in a sense that having that direct engagement with Somerford, we were getting quicker responses. Our P1s and SEV1s were being kind of fixed at a far greater rate than it was with going for an MSP. And lastly, Somerford culturally had a fit with where I was working. When you're talking to different customers, you tend to get gauged if they're aggressive or they're passive. My previous organisation, we kind of were more towards that kind of passive end of the scale, and the kind of face to face, that cultural fit with Summerford, did help, and it made us feel comfortable. As I've used the phrase before, it made us feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, warm and fuzzy feeling as well. Yeah, that's nice. So we were quicker, good quality implementation end to end, and support, and just warm and fuzzy blanket for you. Trusted. There must be a better term than a warm and fuzzy blanket. James, thank you, Bill. That's really interesting to see your insight from your perspective, James. When you chat across all of the customers, how would you describe a warm and fuzzy blanket better?
Yeah, I mean, Bill,
you can't.
Yeah,
you can't.
Bill and I, we work together at a sales organisation, and I think the key thing for us and what we try and do across the organisation is we try and listen, and we try and respond, as opposed to try and push something on someone or try and force a direction of travel in terms of product, solution, service. Our role as a value-added reseller is to listen.
Mm-hmm.
If we have something within our solution portfolio or our skill set, then absolutely we'll put it forward. This is how we can help, and ultimately we're a business, so we are always also looking to make money out of this. Fundamentally, it's what does the customer need?
Yeah.
And people talk about it all the time in terms of it's customer first or customer centric. I don't think you can truly do that unless you're willing to actually advise something against your own solution stack, against your own services. Walk away from something if you think actually we're not the right fit. I can remember having conversations with Bill and other members of across different organisations where sometimes it might not be the news you want to hear, or sometimes someone says, "Oh, can you help with this?" And if it's a no, that short circuits the process for them. It gets them to a point of value quicker. So when I think about value or what we can do in terms of Summerford, I think that ability to listen, not be pushy, and have that more passive, consultative approach, certainly helped us align. And also when you've got a fit like we had with Bill's previous organisation, culturally there was a very good fit. Both organisations had high morals, high ability to want to do the right thing, not only for us but for all of our customers, and that's a big value.
Yeah, it is. And how about from your perspective, Simon? Because you've been on the vendor side, I suppose.
Yeah, in a couple of iterations with Summerford. So I manage the UK and Ireland partner business for HashiCorp, and have done for the last 2-3 years while I've been building that. But I knew Summerford for a couple of years prior to that in a previous role. I don't think there's a danger of repetition, because it's not a danger. I'm just going to repeat some of it, but that level of kind of trust and culture that is, or the trust is developed from, is one of the things that I think really sets apart Summerford from lots of other places and lots of other organisations that I've worked with in the past. HashiCorp is at heart, it's an open source company anyway. That's the foundation to what we do. Pushing hard without credibility and without expertise would not an enterprise sale deliver for HashiCorp. And so, this culture at Summerford of listening, asking questions, listening, and then working with somebody either to be really pragmatic about whether or not it's something you can help them with, or to lead them to a point where it's an appropriate point in time to make a change, to deliver value, I think is a proper differentiator for Summerford, because it is unusual. The other bit, just to probably drill into the culture a wee bit more as well, and maybe we'll talk about that as we go through this. Summerford's full of nice people. It's really easy to work with Summerford, and it's full of experts. Whether you're talking to MOD in terms of centralised government departments, whether you're talking to commercial customers, whether it's financial institutions, generally there is a level of expertise to that vertical or to that client. And if you add that to, working with end users when it's appropriate to work with them to deliver the right solution, I think it's a pretty powerful thing, and it certainly feels a bit different when you work with you.
Thank you. Because I find that OSS, the open source to enterprise transition, really is where we can kind of help a lot, and especially without the pushy thing, because there is a lot of value, and your whole business model is in getting a lot of people getting a lot of value on the open source parts of your solutions. And if they're happy to stay there and they can still be as secure as they need to be, and that's fine, and that's part of your business model, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then move them to enterprise if and when they need it.
Yeah, and there's a journey. There's always a journey somewhere, isn't there? But there's a journey often with us in terms of somebody's maturity. Whether you take Terraform, for example, going straight into enterprise Terraform is not the thing typically that you'll do on day one. There is an element of maturity, a journey that somebody has to travel. There's a reason why we picked Summerford as one of only 2 or 3 partners in the UK and the most successful across EMEA at helping clients or developing the capability at Summerford first, but then helping clients get to a point where they could confidently assess how prepared somebody might be to move to enterprise, whether or not their environment was right for it, whether it was right fit for them as an organization. So, there are still big companies that Summerford do millions of dollars worth of transactions with in other technologies that just aren't ready yet to go and invest in Hashi. And again, that reflects really nicely on how hard they're willing to push, but to what extent. And actually, it isn't all about just nailing a sale. It's making sure it's right for the client.
Yeah.
And we've invested a lot of time jointly in a capability at Summerford that allows end users to explore that, and consulting, health assessments, all of that kind of stuff is really crucial to it. And you guys are fantastic at it.
Thank you. So that's on the scoping side at the beginning. But how about when we've decided to get a solution or a suite of solutions together? Do we make it easy? Bill, do we make it easy to do that?
I think so. There's clear transparency with Summerford. That when you ask for a plan, you get a plan. It's not a copy of a previous plan. It is something that is bespoke or is kind of individual to the organisation. So that transparency was it was quite key. I also think that when we get into that kind of operational and delivery operational side, it was one phone call and we're connected through to Summerford. We didn't have to go through layers and layers and layers of support services to actually get to the resolution at the end. So I totally agree with that, Anne.
And do we make it easy for you as well, from your perspective?
Yeah, we do. We're part of that open source thing is obviously people quite often try and be as self-sufficient as possible in their own kind of deployment and usage of HashiCorp tools. The tools are kind of everywhere. What it sometimes doesn't lend itself to is doing that against best practice. There's lots of bespoke work that sometimes needs unpicking, or augmenting, or sometimes just some really basic work being done to make things work. Traditionally, that's not been the easiest thing to do for us or our partners, and it's one of the things that actually our partners like about HashiCorp is the professional service opportunity around that, because there's lots of intelligence required to stand things up and to engineer different environments. Summerford have done a brilliant job of simplifying that to a point where actually, if you're new to enterprise today, or even new to HashiCorp today, you've essentially, you can choose from a very simple menu of 3 or 4 choices. That means that you can invest in a technology platform and take all of the right associated services alongside it, with support, with regular health checks, with all of this stuff. There's some very, very easy to consume packages. Cool. It's probably one of the few partners around that has made it that simple. It's really cool.
It's good to know. Now, I'm very fearful that we're just going to be talking about how great we are together, and people will be like, "Well, you've brought two people into a room, and you dialed someone in who are all agreeing that we're great." Have you got any other perspectives, James, from who else works with us? It's not just us 3 in the room, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, in terms of other organisations of who I'm able to name, maybe look at some use cases. For example, we've been heavily involved with a lot of transformation migration projects. So moving people onto cloud-based systems and applications and products. That's quite a key area for us. So for us, looking at a use case where we merged two of the world's largest credit rating agencies, and help them with actually closing out and moving out one of their existing data centers, to helping organizations where over time, they've got multiple SIEM technologies, and a large global retailer, helping them consolidate those SIEM technologies onto one, and doing it efficiently, but also maintaining all their operations, as they also have banking arm to their business as well. So there's considerations there in terms of data retention, compliance, governance. Other use cases, maybe, where actually we're very heavily involved with building omni-channel strategies for retail organizations, actually helping them build and help develop their new in-store systems that is going to bring a new experience to their customers, help them develop and keep ahead. And fundamentally what we do, give their customers the best possible experience. I have to admit, I've written down a quote here just because I thought this one was quite nice, and it just gave it a sort of flavour for who Summerford were. But going back to the global credit rating agency that we worked with, and helping them move off the data centre, their global head of production engineering had a few nice words to say, but one of them was, after months and months of planning, heartache, late nights, weekends, grit and determination, the migration of our core data analytics and monitoring solution out of 3 on-premise data centers in London, Amsterdam, and Texas into our AWS environment had been completed. This was a monumental effort, spanning many months and many teams, with contributions across all aspects of IT being vital to the success of the project. And just to set the scene for the project involved migration of over 103 on-premise servers used to run that current data platform. Over 220 terabytes of data have been migrated, hundreds of firewall changes, over 500 active users migrated, along with their countless alerts, searches, and dashboards.
It's complex.
All of that without any outages, downtime, or any sensible impact to any user on their day-to-day operations. Which for them, they're very honest. The CTO, CIO very openly said, that has never happened on a project. We've never seen that happen before. So, bit of a long quote, but I think it sets the scene in terms of the energy and collaboration effort we'll go to with our customers to ensure success. And it was late nights, and it was a very stressful project. But
we call them fun. When they're like that, we're like, this is a fun one.
But it was successful.
Yeah.
And too often in IT, we see lots of projects that aren't successful, and often we have to come in and help pick up the pieces.
So we'd just invite people to, come and explore and see if we're a good fit, see if we've got that cultural fit, and see whether our solutions and our services can help. And with no pressure if they don't. We're pretty honest in saying that.
Yeah, I think so. Look, I work in sales. Like, it's the oldest cliche in the book, isn't it, about people buying from people? But being able to establish a relationship based on trust really quickly is something that I think Summerford are really good at, and it's based on being credible in who you work with and what you sell. It's it isn't a surprise that the product portfolio here isn't massive.
No.
Because it allows you to be, and like I said earlier, I've mentioned the word a couple of times, but it allows you to be experts in those fields. And we trust you to the extent that we try and make sure we get you involved as often as possible in our clients that might be struggling with all sorts of different things. And so anybody new walking in through the door, that cultural fit of, to James's point earlier, just listening and making sure that you're responding with the right things is crucial, and you do make it easy. Your coffee's not great.
No.
If we're going to pick something up, your coffee's a bit poor.
I am the designated tea boy, so I will do
your fault.
I will do. I promise. I'll do my best to improve.
No, that's really great. I think if people are listening, they've got the general gist. There's a whole ton of lists of things and the services we provide and the extra value add. So shall we? We'll point to that in the description of the podcast. And there's a great website for that, which our great marketing team do. Do you want to just sum up like one common theme that you think could sum in one word? I'll go to you, Bill, first. Sorry to spring that one word thing on you.
Reliable.
Okay, James.
I'm going to use a word, use a quick theme.
Okay.
It can be easy to be good when things are going well. It's how you react when things go bad.
Simon?
Probably. So James's is probably, very, very apt. But I've used the word a couple of times. You trust you.
Trusting.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you. This feels like a nice conversation to have had. I hope it's useful for someone listening in to hear a few examples from the partner, the clients, and from a vast range of clients that we work with as to why people choose Summerford. And don't just believe us in a room, just, reach out and we'll have all the contacts in there. And thank you so much for joining me. I've enjoyed having a little chit chat with you about that. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thanks, Anne.